So you're walking by the Macy's store and you want to see what's in there for sale, right? You're walking by JCPenney or Dillard's. Now, these are the top 3 players that try to pull this sort of disgusting move that most people fall for. Now, this is going to be hard to believe, but I'm telling you that what I'm about to explain to you here in this video, most people actually fall for it. It's one of the reasons these actual major retail stores are failing. Their business model is failing. The other one is because everything is always overpriced. Now, that's not a secret, right? You walk into Macy's, JCPenney, Dillard's, you always see sales, 20% off, 30% off, 50% off. Everything is always on sale. It's because everything is overpriced. Even with the 50% off, something that's $3,000 is still $1,500, and it shouldn't even be more than $700. But that has been their business model for a long time. That's why they pushed you so much to get the Macy's credit card, the JCPenney credit card, the Dillard's credit card. I worked retail for many years. This is how it works. They want you to get the credit card because that way you are more willing to pay this ridiculous amount of money for something that is not worth half of what they sell it for. Let me address this real quick. As an adult, a grown-up, I'm assuming by now most people already understand that when you see the 2 words up to before the percentage amount, it means that it could be any discount up to that point. A lot of people, I used to work at Best Buy a long time ago, and people used to see up to 20% off, and they thought, oh, so I could buy this camera and get 20% off? No. It's up to. The camera is actually 5% off, but this lens over here is actually 20% off. So it depends on what you're getting. Not every product in the store has the same discount. That's what it says up to, right? There might be things that are 30% off, other things are 50% off, other things are 60% off. Nothing wrong with that, right? People just don't understand, and that's fine. It's actually the reason why those same people then get scammed. And again, that's not really a scam, but they get tricked into paying more money for something that they thought they were getting for a lot less. So let me show you. You walk into a Macy's store and you see a sale like this, up to 65% off. We have already established what that means, right? It means that it could be a blouse is 30% off, but maybe a perfume is 40% off. Maybe a rug is 30% off, right? There might be a fancy light that's 65% off, right? But then you see stuff like this. This is when the trickery and the lying begins. Oh, and by the way, salespeople at these stores are trained into trick you in this way. It is in their business model. So you see something like take an extra 20% off, boots, right? Okay, an extra 20% off. You see, take an extra 20% off. JCPenney, the same. Take an extra 30% off. You go to Dillard's, the same. Take an additional 40% off or take an additional 30% off from whatever product, right? Nothing wrong with that. So what is that supposed to be? Well, it means that if something is 50% off, then you take an extra 30% off, right? So let's focus on one particular option here. That way it's easier to explain. So fine jewelry, this is Macy's, right? Store is closing down, lots of discounts. So fine jewelry, let's say a watch. Let's pick a watch. You see a sign that says 60% off of the lowest ticket price. And an extra, you see the little extra, right? Extra 10% off for Mattress X, extra 25% off for fine jewelry. Now, you already know that watch is part of fine jewelry. But what does a normal human being that is not out there to rip people off, a human being that is not out there to take advantage of others, someone that doesn't really have any malice in their life, what are we normally thinking? Oh, shoot, 60% off plus 25% off, I'm going to get this watch with an 85% discount. That's what 99% of people think like. And you know this works like this because they've been doing it for years, and hardly anyone noticed it until recently, where people have been paying more attention because the economy sucks. It's a disaster. People don't have the cash flow that they used to have, so they're not too willing to spend too much money, right? It's the second reason why stores like Macy's, JCPenney, they're always closing down, because you cannot have overpriced items, and on top of that, leave a bad taste in people's mouth when they think they're going to get a deal and they get something completely different. So what does that mean? So let me show you guys here. So I'm going to put these sticky notes here, and let's concentrate in a watch, right? So you get a watch that costs $1,000. I'll probably never pay that much for a watch, but hey, since they have an 85% discount because I'm getting 60 plus 25, that's 85, right? I don't even need to be too smart to know that that's an 85% discount. So what do you think? Oh, shoot, I'll put my calculator out. $1,000 times 85% off is an $850 discount. So then you do 1,000 minus $850 is $150, right? So you're thinking, and let me put it right here, that you're going to get that watch for $150. That's what you're thinking, right? And this is where most people stop right here, especially people that are older, a grandma or a grandpa buying something for their kids, their daughter, their son, grandson, right? A lot of people stop right here because they're buying something else. So maybe you're buying shampoo, maybe you're buying whatever, and next thing you know, the bill is $400, and you think that the $150 watch is in there. But what you don't know is that you actually didn't pay $150. Now, remember when I said earlier that salespeople are trained in this way? Well, they're trained like this because when they sell you the watch and somebody notice something wrong about the price, they'll go like, oh, it's the warranty. Oh, it's the taxes. And that's the other one. Sometimes they inject warranty in there that you didn't even ask for. Only if you question the price, the final price, they'll tell you, oh, yeah, the warranty was $30, right? So they did sell stuff like this as well. So you got to pay attention to that. And you notice how they don't give you a paper receipt anymore? A lot of these stores, what they want you is to put your phone number. So they send you a text with a receipt, or they want you to create an account because they're going to send you an email with a receipt. Well, it works well because that way, since you don't have the paper receipt in your hand as you're leaving the store, you are not very likely to go to your email right away to look at how much you actually pay for your items, including the watch. That's why I say that most people stop right there. What is actually happening here is that, let's say it's $1,000 watch again, right? Well, they first take 60% off. 60% off. Oh my God, hold on. $1,000 times 60% off is $600, right? So then you take $1,000 minus $600 is $400, right? So first they take the 60% off from the 1,000, which leave you with $400. Then they take 25% off from $400, and look at this, $400 times 25% off, it's $100. So 400 minus $100, which is the extra 25, is $300. So my friends, what you actually paying for that watch is $300 because you are not really getting 85% off. You are getting 60 plus an extra 25, which is probably more like 73% off. Now, at this point, you could decide, fine, whatever. It's still a good discount. I want to buy the watch. Hey, nothing wrong with that. That's why I'm saying it's not really a scam. But if you thought that it was somewhere around $150 because of the 85% off, and then you buy a bunch of other stuff and you go home and your receipt was $600 and you thought, oh, it's probably because I bought a lot of all the extras, but the watch was $150. Well, you're lying to yourself because this is how they trick you. And again, the salespeople are not in there to be honest with you. They're there to sell you stuff. If you ask about how this discount works, they have no choice but to tell you the truth. But if you don't ask, trust me, they're not going to come out willingly and saying, hey, before you buy that watch, let me just clarify. It's not 85% off. It's actually 60 plus 25. So instead of being 150 like you're thinking it'll be, it's actually 300. Well, obviously they don't want to do that because they then lose the sale, right? Because it's very deceiving and no one likes that. Again, that is their business model. Their CEOs, everybody involved, they want it like this because they think that doing it like this makes them more money. So it is what it is. The other stores like Home Depot, Best Buy, Walmart, Lowe's, they don't do this kind of stuff. Actually, if you go to a Best Buy to buy a TV and it says 30% off, it's 30% off, and they don't do something like increase the price to then lower it back down again. They don't do any of that stuff. So now you see what you're actually paying for stuff. So anyways, if you like the video, if you stay with me this long, I appreciate that. Please like the video and subscribe if you can. I'll have plenty of other videos like this where I talk about economy, tips, financial, and other personal issues that I like to share with everyone. So again, subscribe, like the video, and take care out there.